Hello, everybody. Lolly and Deborah here again to talk about some chapter books. And what we've got for you today is it goes along with our handout, and it's divided into two sections. One of them is recommended early chapter book series. If you've already listened to the asynchronous video, you know that books for this age very often come in series. And I talk about that a little bit in the asynchronous video. So what we're doing is we've picked up samples of a few series, and there will be same sample books in the JCRL bin. In some cases, a book that we're holding up here is going to be a different book in the series than the one that's in the bin, but you know, I'm sure you understand how that goes. So here we go, alphabetically by character, recommended early chapter book series. So the first one I have is the Anna Hibiscus books. These were originally published in England, and they've been coming out now in the US. Anna Hibiscus, I'll go right ahead and tell you what the problem here is. So the author is Nigerian English, and in these books, the character is part Canadian and part, they just say, from Africa. So weirdly, somehow or other, they made the decision to just say she's from Africa and not to say Nigeria, but it seems pretty clear that that is where. So anyway, Anna Hibiscus, and Adenuke is the author and illustrator, and you can see that these books have quite a bit of art in them, you know, so basically, Anna Hibiscus, she has younger siblings, which is often a theme in these books, and it's kind of both about her, family issues and school issues. So, to be honest, you can almost say the same thing about every single one of these series here. So, Anna Hibiscus, definitely worth taking a look at. And the unfortunate thing is just the Africa bit. Clementine series. These are by Sarah Pennypacker, illustrated by Marla Frazee. And Clementine is, she's sort of the epitome of a kinetic learner. I can just show you a little bit of, at the very beginning, we're introduced to her in this series of illustrations of her trying to sit on a chair. There she is, she got it. So, and Clementine is incredibly well-meaning, but she's always getting in trouble. And, usually because she does stuff that people, they just want her to sit and be good. And that's the last thing that she really wants to do. But as all of these are, just a really engaging character. And honestly, very often in these, it doesn't actually tell you what age the child is. And that's sort of an interesting fact about these books, because it's always tempting to assign a grade level to these. But the real fact is that kids in this early chapter book age may be at all different stages in terms of what they're ready for. And over the course of a school year, this can change a great deal. So at the beginning of the year, they may be reading those books with the bigger print, more illustrations. By the end of the year, still the same age, they're reading books that are a little more text heavy. Anyway, the next one, Deborah Scott.
Moody, yes. So we're going to look at the Judy Moody series by Megan McDonald and illustrated by Peter Reynolds. And I'll show you one of the illustrations by Reynolds here just to start with. It's an illustration of Judy's bedroom, which tells you a lot about her. But this series is about an intelligent and very moody at times third grade girl named Judy, who has a lot of energy and verve and wit. The series really follows her and her brother Stink and her friends through some of their adventures and foibles. And Judy does some things. She's very serious, thinking about being a doctor, but they also do some hilariously funny things. They have some experiences with a toad that pees on them all, and they create the Toad Pee Club. And I'm sure that children just find this hilariously funny and wonderful to read. And there are many books in the Judy Moody series.
Yes. Lola Levine. This is a book in which there are a lot of Spanish words peppered in there. This one that I've got here is Lola Levine is not mean. And basically she's a very active kid. She plays sports, especially soccer or football. And basically she's such a fierce player on the field that in this particular book, she gets a reputation for also being a mean kid, which she definitely is not. So Lola Levine. Here's some old ones. Ramona, the Ramona books by Beverly Cleary. So these go all the way back to the 1950s. And so there are some elements in here that are maybe a little bit dated, but Cleary just does such a good job of getting into the brain of a child that there are also plenty of aspects of these books that are not at all dated. In Ramona the Pest, she is just starting kindergarten. But as you can see, it's, you know, the age level for the reading is a little higher than that. So to some extent, one of the things that is that make these books fun to read is that the kids will be able to identify with the character from an age that's a couple of years older. So they sort of can laugh at her, but also with her, I guess you would say. And then we've got the Ruby Lou books by Lenore Look. And I don't have a copy of one of these, but I think Deborah does. So Ruby Lou is a Chinese American kid. And some of her problems are that, you know, she has a pretty good life. She's allowed to take the bus all by herself to go see her grandparents in Chinatown. But the problem she has includes the fact that she's being made to go to Chinese school, and she also has a very annoying little brother. What do we have? The Russell series. The one I've got here is Rip Roaring Russell. I think it's a different book. I don't know. I guess this is the book we're going to show.
We have.
Yeah, there's the one. You're going to get a hardcover in the JCRL box. So Russell is a kid who lives in the city, lives in an apartment. And this is one of the few books we're showing you here that's a series book in which the main character is a boy. And again, Russell, sort of the basic issues that you tend to have in here, primarily that he has a really annoying baby sister. Wimpy Kid series, which are incredibly popular. They actually are, so let me give you a sense, they're heavily illustrated, and I don't know how well you can see this, but they look as if they're written on lined paper, and they're full of these cartoons that, so yeah, and these books got, when they first came out, some people thought they were a little too frivolous, but as you may know, there's a, what is it, a TV series or a movie series that are based on the Wimpy Kid books, which I have not seen. Anyway, great for visual learners. And again, another case where this is a boy as the main character. And then the last one of the series books is our old friend Grace Lynn, the Year of the series. So Year of the Dog is the first one. There's Year of the Rat. And in this case, this is about a girl named Pacey, which in fact is Grace's nickname. And her family is the only Asian family in their town. They're the only Asian kids in the school until in this first book, a new family moves to town who is also Asian. And this girl, Melody, and Pacey become very good friends. And a little side note, these again are based on Grace's life. And the girl who is named Melody is actually, that is about her best friend, Elvina Ling, who is now Grace's editor at Little Brown. So that's that list. And then we have some older chapter books. So as you know from Robin Smith's article that you read for today, reading aloud is, you know, just such a great thing to do. And these are all books that read aloud well, or they're also good books to read alone. And in particular, what we're doing with these these are to represent certain authors who just always write books that draw kids in right away and are really engaging. So the first one, I've got a different stack here. Oh my goodness. Okay. First book we have here is by Avi, one of the authors who goes by only one name. This is the first book in his Poppy series. Poppy is a mouse whose big nemesis is Mr. Okex, the owl. You can see up there looking menacing. The thing about Avi, one of the things that's great about Avi is, boy, does he know how to write an opening sentence. Every single one of his books, and he's written a lot also for older readers, all of them start with a bang. And that's just, I think that's such a good thing to be able to do in this sort of chapter book age.
Here's a map of the sort of the landscape.
Oh, thank you. Yes, very good. Yeah, and again, it's a little bit unusual to have animal stories in the chapter book age, but why not? You know, and there's some great ones in there. C.C. Bell's book El Defo is another one of these sort of semi-autobiographical books. This is a graphic novel. And C.C. Bell is hearing impaired, as is the main character. And I should point out that although it is autobiographical, all the characters in this book are actually rabbits. And basically what makes her feel like a superhero is the fact that she has this thing called the phonic ear, which she wears and helps her, you know, it allows her to hear what the teacher is saying, etc., a little bit better. And there's some really funny stuff, funny things that happen in here, some of which are just what happens in school. And oh, and this is she's her first year at a new school, this one. And yeah, it's always tempted to go on and on about these books. I'm not gonna. Kate DiCamillo, another person whose books always work really well as read alouds. And the one that is going to be in the bin is, oh no, sorry, I skipped Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl. I happen to have the BFG here. The book in the bin is going to be James and the Giant Peach. And he's probably best known for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which has been made into a movie several times. And the thing about Roald Dahl is he is completely irreverent. And all of his books are, you know, oh, what do I say? Sorry. Every one of his books, you know, they have terrific characters. They have real adventures. And invariably, there are adult characters who are truly horrible. And that's one of the things that makes these books so much fun. When people talk about subversive children's literature, Roald Dahl is always going to be on that list. So anything by Roald Dahl, subversive, lots of fun, great read alouds. And now we're up to Kate DiCamillo. And again, the book that's going to be in the bin is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. The one I happen to have here is The Tale of Despereaux. One thing about Kate DiCamillo is she has a way of taking a subject that you might not think would be at all interesting or engaging, and she just runs with it in a way that you can't believe how much you love this book. And so these are, generally they're great read alouds. They're a little tougher as read alones. As read alouds, they can be read quite young, but they're always quite respectful of the intelligence of the reader. And also, a lot of her books have been made into movies as well. Some animated, some live action. Oh, Deborah's next. One of my favorites.
Next up is Frindle. This is Andrew Clements. It's illustrated by Brian Selznick. And actually, Clements has written a number of others, School Story, Lunch Money, many, many others. But Frindle is probably his best known. It's a story of this fifth grader named Nick Allen, who I think in his previous years in school was a bit of a, got himself in a little bit of trouble, but a really smart kid. So in fifth grade, he ends up with a language arts teacher named Mrs. Granger, who just will not let anyone get away with anything. And she is a real fanatic about language and about the dictionary. Well, Nick doesn't think this is super exciting, but then he discovers that words come from someplace, and he decides he's going to invent a new word. He's going to invent a new word for a pen, and that's going to be a frindle. And suddenly Frindle just takes off and has a life of its own. But it's a really wonderful and funny look at where words come from, the power of language, the power of inspiration. It's a must read. I actually read it with my lower elementary Montessori class, and they absolutely loved this story. And we talked a lot about it. It's a good one for discussion about language.
Definitely. Yeah, and you may know his books about the Landry News. Clements was a teacher himself, and he writes pretty much all of his books are school stories. And he's great. Stone Fox, here's an oldie. Oh, and it's falling apart right on me. This is one of the sad books that Robin Smith wrote about in the article you read for today. It's another one of those books in which you fall in love with the dog, and then by the end of the book, the dog dies. Oh my goodness. So this is a very rural setting. The main character, Willie, lives on a farm, and his family is in having difficult times financially. Basically, Stone Fox is this Native American mountain man who runs sled dogs. So, and as you can see, it's one of these really short books. So when I was in elementary school, these are the books I was always drawn to. The shorter, the better, because I did not want to be reading. So then we have this blue highlight makes it. Oh yeah, Dick King Smith. Another Brit. This is Babe the Gallant Pig, originally published as Babe the Sheep Pig, was made into a live action movie. So basically Babe learns how to, or discovers he's good at herding sheep, which of course is normally done by sheep dogs. But Babe has a very special way of being able to communicate with the sheep. And we learn exactly what Babe is thinking and saying, and what the sheep are thinking and saying. And I'll just leave it at that. You can discover the rest. Once again, it's Mercy Suarez. Yes, indeed. So the older end of things, Mercy Suarez is the sixth grader in this book, which is now the first of a series. She lives in an urban setting, and extended family who all live in a neighborhood together, and she and her brother have a scholarship to a fancy private school, which is of course in a totally different location. And it's a great family story, and also a a school story, a code switching kind of story. And the main thing that happens here is that her grandfather is clearly getting sick, but her family doesn't really want to tell her about it. So, you know, combination of funny, sad, all of that. Deborah's next, yes?
My next. Oh, yes. Okay, we're talking about some of the other books by E.B. White. I know that we're reading Charlotte's Web for our last class, and many of you are probably familiar with Stuart Little as well, which is very well known. But another book that E.B. White wrote for children is The Trumpet of the Swan. This one is illustrated by Edward Frashino, and this is just such a charming book. It's about a trumpeter swan named Louis, actually after, I think, a tribute to Louis Armstrong. But this particular swan, Louis, is mute. So he has no voice, and that's a worrisome thing for his family, because a swan needs a voice in order to be able to attract a mate. But there's also a boy in this story, Sam Beaver, and he befriends the swan family, or rather the swan family, and through his taking Louis to school, actually, Louis learns to read and to write. And I'll show you a picture of that. He falls in love with a female swan. And here he is writing, "I love you" on a slate, but that means nothing to her because the other swans cannot read. He needs to find a way to convey his voice. So his father actually crashes through the window of a music store and steals him a trumpet. So he will have a trumpet to play, and he learns to play. He plays taps and reveille, and he even creates a love song for Serena, the female swan, who he falls in love with. And he has many adventures along the way. I have one other thing to show you. He ends up in Boston with the swan boats, and in Philadelphia. Here he is in I think the Ritz-Carlton. He's making lots of money. He actually becomes wealthy. It's quite a wonderful story, and a bit of a love story as well. It's just, I think, classic E.B. White. It's just the writing is beautiful, and you can't but love and cheer for Louis, who does, I think, through the trumpet find his voice eventually. So it's a lovely story.
You know, and E.B. White wrote a total of 3 children's books, Stuart Little, Charlotte's Web, and Trumpet of the Swan. And very often people say, oh, Trumpet of the Swan is the lesser of the 3, but oh my goodness, it's E.B. White. It's a terrific book. It just doesn't, you know, people don't think it's as incredibly beautifully written as Charlotte's Web, but oh my God, as you can see, what's not to love about a swan who learns to write and play the trumpet? Anyway, so the last book on our list, is it the last book?
It is.
The highlight is so hard to read.
Yes.
Okay, yes, Rita Williams Garcia. As you can tell, this book won just a few awards. One Crazy Summer. So the main character in this book is 11 years old. So again, it's in that sort of way upper end of you know, the ages that we're covering in this class. But she's the oldest of 3 sisters. So, you know, a family story with everything that goes with that. But one of the things that makes this especially interesting is this actually takes place during the summer of 1968, which of course was quite a significant summer. And Delphine and her sisters live with their grandparents, and they are sent for the summer to go live with their mother, who they really don't know very well. Their mother is living in San Francisco and is very active with the Black Panthers. So it's also this terrific, you know, historical fiction book, and where you really get to see the, you know, what was really going on with the Black Panthers, and all the great programs that they were doing, and all of that. So great family story, great historical fiction, and I can't believe it, but that's the end of our list.
Wow.
And yeah, we thought we were just going to zip through these, but darn, it's so hard to not just start talking about the books anyway.
Yes.
So yeah, these are all going to be in the bin at the JCRL. We'll put the handout there on the website, and that's it. So yeah,
Good. Hope you'll be able to come by and look at some of them. They're really wonderful.
Yes, yes. All right, we're done. Over and out. See you all in
Thanks, Fran.
class.
Bye.
Bye.